Testing. Good evening, everybody. It's Monday, May 4th, and we'll call the meeting to order at 5:31 p.m. and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. We will start school committee member introductions with Councilor Harriman.
Scott Harriman, City Council Representative to the School Committee.
Donna Goliath, Ward 7.
Megan Hurd, Ward 6.
Julia Harper, Ward 4.
Elizabeth Eames, Ward 3.
Janet Bowden, Ward 2.
Luke Jensen at large.
Phoenix McLaughlin, Ward 1.
Jake Langlis, school superintendent.
Do you know who you are? Karen Paquette, Assistant Superintendent.
Okay, so agenda item number 3 is the consent agenda. So minutes and personnel. Are there any items that members would like set aside? Okay, seeing none, the consent agenda is adopted. So that brings us to agenda item number 4, which is public input. Are there any members of the public that would like to give public comment at this time? Because if so, I'll read out the blurb, and if not, I won't. So by show of hands or anything else, is anyone planning to give public comment? Okay, seeing none, we are going to move on to agenda item number 5, which is to receive Lewiston Public Schools recognition, and I'll pass it over to the superintendent.
So I don't know if Jen, if you want to come up to help us share these recognitions, but we're honored to have some guests join us today for some of the great work that's been done this spring around maple syrup and sugaring, and numerous students that we'd like to recognize. And Jen, if you want to share more, and I do have the slideshow when you would like.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Jennifer Labonte. I am the instructional specialist for math and science, K-12 for Lewiston Public Schools. And I wanted to share a really exciting hands-on project that 3 of our schools took part in, and is also a partnership with the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. That's the scientists that helped us complete this project. So if Jake wants to show the slideshow.
Just for clarification for anyone following along, we're kind of combining agenda items number 5 and 6. So we're going to have the presentation on the LPS maple sugaring as well.
All right, so yeah, this is a partnership between Lewiston Public Schools and the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. They've been working with us for about 4 years or more in a couple of different projects. But this one was a co-designed project between teachers and coaches and the scientists at the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. Go ahead and you can scroll. So we started early in the year planning and again, co-designing some lessons and some projects with teachers and coaches and scientists. We ended up tapping trees next at Connors, McMahon, and at Farwell. That was students and teachers tapping the trees. And then we collected some data because this was really an interdisciplinary project. We wanted some math in there, some science in there, even some literacy, social studies in there too. When they were collecting data, they were collecting data about when to tap the trees, the right temperature that it was in order to tap the trees, and also the volume of the sap and the sugar content that came from the sap. They boiled the sap also at McMahon and at Farwell. This was the teachers that did that. They coordinated even with the janitors to make sure that we could pull this off, and they did it, and it was amazing. And that was the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders who really came out and helped with that. And then probably the most amazing part was they presented their findings at a symposium that the Gulf of Maine Research had at UNUM in Portland. And so this really made it some real science. They have their posters here. They want to show them to you. And to make it easier and to help people maybe watching at home, I put the posters also on the slide so you can see them there too. So let's keep going just a little bit because I want to show you a couple pictures before we bring the kids up. So there was a ton of planning that had to go into creating this. I'm sure none of these teachers tapped trees before, but we did it all together and it worked. So we did brainstorming with 4th, 5th, and 6th grade teachers. We created those interdisciplinary lessons. We identified the trees. We created a supply list of things that we would need, and that was at zero cost to Lewiston. Again, GMRI helping us with funding some of those items. And then we looked at some historical temperature data to decide when to tap the trees because it needs to be 40 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and under 20 degrees at night in order to get the sap to flow. And then we created timelines for the events. You can go ahead and scroll. So this is a picture of tapping trees at Farwell, and you can see Kiani Kamari, who's here with us. She's in the picture in the middle. She's the 6th grade teacher at Farwell, and you can see this was when they were first tapping the trees and putting the buckets to collect the sap. And then you can see these are some of the kids from McMahon, and they are checking the trees and collecting the sap and all the data. And some of those kids are in the audience right now, I think. And then this was the boil at Farwell. And then this is when they went to that findings from the field symposium. And I grabbed this picture because I wanted to show everybody that there was 106 students at the symposium, but our 4th graders from McMahon were the youngest kids there, which was so exciting. Those the youngest kids that have ever gone to this symposium, so we were so proud of them. And obviously just as proud of our 5th and 6th graders who went too. But usually it's middle school kids. King Middle's one that usually goes. Schools in Portland usually go. I know there's even some schools in New Hampshire that go, but our kids were the youngest ones there. And here is they're presenting their slides, their posters, and they stood in front of them, obviously, for a little photo op. And you can see the first picture is the students from McMahon. Then we have some students from Farwell, and you can see even Cody Swanson, one of the 5th grade teacher from Farwell, that's in that picture too. And here's a little bit more of them presenting their posters because people would come up to them, kind of just like a science fair. They would come up to them, they would talk about their poster, they would share their findings, and they'd also share with other kids. And our kids went and visited other posters from other kids who did similar things too. So great kind of event for everybody. So this is the first slide. We want some friends from McMahon to come up. Come on up. You want to talk? Okay. So you can tell us about your poster, and maybe you can tell us your name. Tell us your team.
Hi, I am Matilda Hodgman, and we did like when is the best time to tap maple trees in Maine, and this table is basically just showing us like the past 5 years of the data throughout the tapping season, and we found that the best time to tap was late February into early March.
Anybody else want to share? They can always just say their name. They have. Yeah, just say your name.
My name's Lillian. My name's Lujana Shakwat. My name's Logan Barabee. My name's Brentley Francor.
Hi, I'm Kristen Stubbins. I'm one of the 4th grade teachers at McMahon, and I worked with these kiddos, and we did some research together and went to the symposium at Unum, and it was a lot of fun.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
can go back to the, yes. You go to the slideshow, we can show the next one. Yeah, that one.
And this down so they can see your faces too. All right, this is some of our crew from Farwell. Oalua and Josie and Zaytoon couldn't be here today, but they are the fifth graders that represented Farwell at the symposium. They're going to tell you a little bit about the data we collected and what we were doing with our SAP.
So we collected to see how temperature affected sap flow, but we didn't really come to a conclusion because we moved our tap kind of right in the middle of it.
So we collected sap volume and started tapping our trees in February 2026 to March 2026. And then we also we noticed a change in the sap volume collected when we moved a certain tap from to another spot, because research shows that when a tap is under a cut off branch, it doesn't provide as much sap as usual.
Most of the sixth graders from Farwell have extracurricular activities. We have our play that they're doing dress rehearsals this week. So they weren't able to make it, but we couldn't have done what we did in Farwell without Kiani Kamiri. Her and her partner tap trees at home, and she brought in family members to help us burn our wood under supervision of the operations folks, of course. And boil our sap. We ended our data collection with a little pancake breakfast. Kiani and I were down there flipping pancakes and blowing breakers. And so the kids got to taste their own sap from all of their hard work, and we were very fortunate. So, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for being here.
All right. So you can see some of those posters are from the sixth graders at Farwell. If you want to, you can just scroll. So I did want to just take a second to recognize that it took a village to do this. We needed our students, we needed our teachers, we needed our coaches, we needed the janitorial staff, we needed our GMRI scientists and people at the district level just to make all of this learning possible, but I really think it was worth it. It was, like I said, it was really interdisciplinary. Kids wrote about this, they read about this, they did math, and they looked at the data. So that way they could really think about one of the products that we produce in Maine, along with other products that we produce in Maine. Because I know at McMahon, the fourth graders even read about blueberries and potatoes and other things like that and linked it to what we were doing here. If you go down, I did want to share our partnership with GMRI is a really big one. We send all of our sixth graders to the Lab Venture program in Portland, and they participate in that. They get to ride on a coach bus, they touch a lobster. There's a lot of data collection in that too. We also have computer science lessons that we have created. We call that our CS for All project, but those exist in 4th through 6th grade. We have been going to Thorncraig for 3 years with GMRR scientists to collect information about vernal pools. We actually were there today with half of the 7th grade, and we're going back again tomorrow. And this maple sugaring project we hope will exist for years to come. And this is just the first year of it. So, and again, no cost to any Lewiston people. Just our time and GMRI's time to make all this happen for our kids. So that's
Thank you very much. Does the committee have any questions or comments before we, okay, yeah, Member Bowden?
I just want to say that this seemed really impactful. Listening to the kids come up and just have knowledge, like actual knowledge about what happened and the steps that they took. And that's really great to see something play out beginning to end, so interactive. There was a lot of learning that happened, you can tell. So I just want to say I'm super impressed. So great job.
Thanks.
Member Eames?
First of all, having fourth graders do scientific posters, wow, golly gee, that's one. And then at the symposium, was everyone doing the same maple sugaring exercise, or were there various tasks that were all on display?
It wasn't all maple sugaring, but if Amanda wants to come up, can you tell us what the projects were? All about the whole thing. This is Amanda Dickus from GMRI.
Hi. I don't have a list of all of the projects in my head, but yes, they ranged from, forestry to maple sugaring to investigations of ocean warming. So it was quite diverse in both the projects that students presented and also the expertise. So we did have subject matter experts that were on hand to engage with students collectively in the questions that they were posing.
Great. So they learned something just by being at the symposium, not just their own, what they.
Absolutely. Yes.
display,
The
but
goal is
could
that
learn.
just
Yeah.
as in any sort of scientific
Yeah.
community, ideas are challenged and reified in public debate. And so they were engaging in that process.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Jensen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Very proud of you guys for all the hard work you put into that. It is so cool to see. Just super proud of you and really grateful to the teachers that just put in a lot of work for this. You guys give your heart and soul to this job, and we greatly appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Member Harper?
Thank you. Yeah, students, I'm so proud of you. That's like just so cool to hear you display your knowledge. Also, like, thank you so much to our staff for just going above and beyond. And also Gulf of Maine Research Institute, like so cool that you are partnering with Lewiston schools and other public schools. But I think especially Lewiston being, we're not in Southern Maine, we're we're out here, and I'm just really grateful for the collaboration.
Great job, everyone. So we do have some certificates that the superintendent will pass out.
And hey, parents, I want you to live on, probably live on that side. We'll stand up, we'll stand right here. We're gonna get a picture. Great. Hold up before you smile. Was the syrup good? All right, when I say, everybody say syrup, I want you to smile, okay? All right, everybody say syrup. Syrup.
Look here, Kieran. Over here.
These are made days.
Get out there and take a picture. It's okay.
All right, how much syrup did you make? Does anyone know roughly how much syrup? About a gallon?
I was just eating some.
Two loads of syrup. A lot of things. How many gallons?
What?
How many gallons of syrup? Go ahead, you tell me.
When I landed, was it worth it? Yeah.
I think so. Thank you all so much.
So I believe we have one more recognition to give out as well. I'll let the superintendent speak to that.
So I would like to call up Sue Williams. We have, so Jen Labonte, our instructional specialist who just spoke with you, was also nominated and received an award from our partner. And Sue's going to talk a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, Karen and I are so fortunate to have Jen on our staff in the Office of Teaching and Learning. We could be up here every month talking about a number of the contributions that she makes to our district, whether it's to our staff or our students. This is just one example of how she goes above and beyond and puts so much energy into the work she does. For this Wayfinder Award, I thought I would just read very quickly the email from Glenn Prickett, who's the president and CEO of the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. He said, "I'm delighted to share that you have been selected as the inaugural recipient, first one ever, of the Gulf of Maine Wayfinder Award for the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. The award honors leaders whose partnership and collaboration with GMRI have helped turn shared ambition into meaningful, measurable progress. Your work exemplifies this in every sense. You were nominated by Lee Peak and stood out among an exceptional group of finalists. Through your leadership in the Lewiston Public School system and your meaningful, sustained collaboration with our education team, you have helped expand access to high-quality experiential science learning for students who might not otherwise see themselves reflected in these spaces. Your commitment to equity, your belief in students as capable scientists, and your ability to translate partnership into real outcomes have made a lasting impact, not only within your district, but across our broader work. As the 2026 Gulf of Maine Wayfinder Award recipient, we are excited to elevate your story and your work, and we look forward to bringing your voice into selected communications and events over the next year. Congratulations, Jennifer. We're grateful for your partnership and proud to celebrate your leadership." And I will add that Jen forwarded this email to Karen and Jake and I, and her message was, "Here's the info for the Wayfinder Award. So excited to be nominated." And I said, "Jen, did you read this? You won it. You actually were selected." And she's like, "Oh." So she was a little surprised, but none of us who know Jen were surprised. Amanda, I don't know if you wanted to say anything about Jen on behalf of GMRI, but well deserving and thrilled to be up here to be able to honor her.
Hi, again, I'm Amanda Dickus. I'm a researcher at the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. Not much more to add beyond Glenn's, wonderful email. I would just share that Lewiston Public Schools and the Gulf of Maine Research Institute have a common shared goal. We want to build and cultivate the next generation of confident and capable and knowledgeable and critical young people who are going to become the next stewards of our environment. And so, that guides all of the work that we do at the Gulf of Maine Research Institute. And we found a true partner, both in Lewiston Public Schools, but also in Jen. None of this work over the last 5 years would be possible without her support and the support of many others in the Dingley office. And so I just want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Jen, but also my heartfelt gratitude to Lewiston Public Schools. It's been a wonderful collaboration, and we're so looking forward to the next 5, 10, 15 years of working together.
Congratulations, Jen. Did you want to give a speech or anything? No, well said. So she's gotten several, but I have another certificate for her as well. I also want to say as a side, and when she said thank you to Lewiston Public Schools, we're really trying to make sure that we can find a way. So can you put a steel barrel in a parking lot and set it on fire? Yeah, sure we can. Like, let's figure that out, right? Because that's how you cook down and evaporate sap. Can you mount these weather stations on the roofs or walls on the outsides of buildings with people maybe that don't want to do that? But we said, yes, we'll find a way. So to Sue and Bill, Karen, and other members of the team, we are committed to making things like that happen. And I only say that to kind of just make sure it's out there that sometimes public education, you get all these policies and rules and compartmentalize things of, well, facilities says you can do that if you talk to the electrician, and you can do that if you talk to, Bill in operations, and maybe you can do that, but who's that coming from? Oh, it's Sue. Well, Sue should talk to Jake, and all of these like barriers to collecting and cooking maple syrup with children who were gathering data and creating science, creating data to support their project. So I just think it's critically important. The partnership is very helpful, but I think we need to continue to push those boundaries with our kids and with our structures and our systems so that what we just saw kids talking about happens more often.
Okay, thank you very much, and congratulations once again. So I believe that's it for the recognitions. So yes, so that's it for both agenda item number 5 and 6. And so we will move on to agenda item number 7, which is to review and potentially vote on the second read of the following policies, BBA and BCA. Is there anything you'd like to say about those?
There has not been no change since the first read, so yeah, that's all I had to say.
Okay, Member Hurd.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to approve the second read of the following policies listed A through B.
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion was made by Member Hurd and seconded by Member Bowden. Is there any discussion of this item before we vote? And I don't believe there's any members of the public to comment. So if there's no further comment, then we'll go ahead and call the vote. So go right ahead.
And today, are we starting with Member
Bowden? Yes, thank you.
So Ward 2,
Yes.
at large.
Yes.
Ward 1,
Yes.
City Council.
Yes.
Ward 7,
Yes.
Ward 6.
Yes.
Ward 4,
Yes.
and Ward 3.
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0.
Great, thank you. So that moves us on to agenda item number 8, which is the report from the school committee chair. The only thing I'll mention is just a reminder, mostly for the public, that we're adjourning. After we adjourn the meeting, we'll be doing a retreat to discuss the district goals. That's part of why we have a light agenda this evening. And just one thing to mention, all the members should know this at this point, but I believe it's May 14th is the top 10 brunch. I think we already had to RSVP, so hopefully you already knew that if you can make it. But I just wanted to highlight that. So that is a great event. And of course, the school budget vote is coming up. We'll continue mentioning that. I think the superintendent did just send out a notice about the budget town hall that he'll be running on May 7th. And then the vote itself is on May 12th, but there's also early voting planned for May 6th and 7th, which is just later this week at City Hall planned. Technically, it does need to wait until the City Council votes on the budget, which is tomorrow evening. So that is all I have to report. Next up is agenda item number 9, which is a report from the school superintendent.
Since we just met recently, I don't have a lot of new information. I think I would just harp on folks, if you have any questions about the budget, we're happy to answer those at the town hall. Send an email if you want us to go visit you somewhere else. We're happy to do so. Tomorrow night, we will be at the city council. It's on the agenda to take a vote on the school budget, amongst other items. And then again, town hall Thursday, and early voting can begin as soon as Wednesday and Thursday, so long as it passes. And referendum May 12th.
Okay, so any questions for the superintendent before I move on? Okay, that brings us to agenda item number 10, which is the report from the city council representative.
Mostly the same as the last two reports. City council meets tomorrow evening, 6 o'clock. We have a city budget workshop, and then at 7, a meeting. Most of the items have to do with the budget, such as the CDBG and the home allocations, and then also the vote on the school budget. So that's tomorrow at 7.
Okay, thank you. And the agenda doesn't include the vote on the regular city budget, correct? That's at a later time.
Correct. The vote on the city budget is scheduled for May 19th right now.
Okay. All right, thank you. Any questions about that? Okay, that brings us to agenda item number 11, which is the updates from school committee subcommittees. Have any subcommittees met in the past week? Member Bowden?
Yeah, the finance committee met this evening before this meeting started. We got just a quick update on a technical thing that's changing that might involve a blurb in a policy. So that could be coming before us soon. Other than that, it's pretty quiet. So that was it.
Okay, any other subcommittees from the past week? All right, that moves us on to agenda item number 12, school committee community announcements. Any community announcements folks would like to make? All right, so that brings us to any future agenda items, agenda item number 13. Okay, so moving right along then to adjournment. Is there a motion
So
to
moved.
adjourn? Okay, moved by
Second.
member Bowden, seconded by member Hurd. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, any opposed? All right, school committee is adjourned and we will begin our